Seriously, how great is that intro? The Sopranos and 25th anniversary. As said in the title, this video is gonna have spoilers for the entire series. So yeah, if you haven't watched yet, I suggest to turn this video off because I'm gonna talk about all of it, the ending as well. So you'll be warned. Starring the late James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano and created by David Chase, the legendary series now celebrates its 25th anniversary. Its impact on the television landscape cannot be overstated. Without The Sopranos, we wouldn't have Breaking Bad. Without The Sopranos, we wouldn't have The Wire. Without The Sopranos, we wouldn't have Game of Thrones. The series follows the life and family of Tony Soprano, a New Jersey mobster who is making enemies left and right, and who also sees a psychiatrist. He is oftentimes unfaithful to his wife, played wonderfully by Eddie Falco. The family dynamics of the characters is what makes the series so entertaining and engaging. It's what sets the series apart from all the other crime dramas. Tony Soprano is one of the best characters in fiction ever, and that's thanks to James Gandolfini's magnificent performance. Gandolfini passed away way too soon, and his legacy will never be forgotten. He represented a character who had power and who had control over people. The women around him also often drove him mad if they didn't fall madly in love with him. His psychiatrist, Dr. Jennifer Melfi, played superbly by Lauren Bracco, often tries to help Tony through his feelings and his day-to-day activities. Jennifer sometimes also has feelings for Tony, but never admits this to him. The entire character of Tony Soprano, I think, is one of the best characters in television. He's in television history. He's just an amazing character, and Gandolfini plays him wonderfully. I think he was a brilliant actor, and it's so sad that he passed away at his age because he could have done so much more. David Chase was asked how James Gandolfini changed the role of Tony Soprano in any way. The creator had this to say. The first day we were shooting, there was a scene in which Christopher told Tony that he was going to write a movie script and go to Hollywood. And in the dialogue, Tony said, "What, are you crazy?" And he gives him a love tap. That's what I pictured. And we came to do it, and Jim pulled him out of his chair, shook him by the collar, and was like, "Are you expletive crazy?" And I thought, that's Tony Soprano. He just felt like a real gangster. It's just a great comment from the creator of how Tony actually, how James Gandolfini became the character. I thought it was a really fascinating comment. And what more can I say about James Gandolfini? I think he was a wonderful actor. Tony also gets attached to her and starts having fantasies about her, as he does with many other women. He never stays faithful to his wife Carmilla for very long, which always put her at odds and put their marriage into trouble. Carmilla always finds herself at crossroads, wondering if she should continue to stay with Tony or leave him, which isn't easy when you are a wife of a rich gangster. Eddie Falco's performance through the entire series is stellar. She is a strong female character, and it's very easy to like her. Her chemistry with James Gandolfini simply works, and together they are just so fun to watch. Their children are played by Jamie Lynn Sigler Meadow and Robert Eiler. Tony Jr. AJ, and both actors are great in their respective roles. They're often annoying and rebels, but that's to be expected when these kids are the kids of a monster. Both actors have actually started a podcast in 2023 called Not Today Pal. In this podcast, they're actually talking about The Sopranos and the filming a bit. I've never listened to it, but I'm interested in actually checking it out because I'm sure it's interesting. I'm sure they have stories to tell about James Gandolfini and about their experience on set. So I'm actually interested in checking out this podcast. The rest of the supporting cast are all terrific. Tony Sirico as Paulie is one of the highlights of the series. He often plays an often naive but loyal character. Nancy Mouchard plays Tony's often mean and disapproving mother, Livia. Ada Turturro plays his sister Janice, who never has any direction in her life whatsoever. And Steve Buscemi as Tony's cousin is absolutely well. Steve Buscemi. Need I say more? Everyone plays their part in the series wonderfully. Every member of the cast is absolutely terrific. I'm not gonna name everyone throughout this series because the cast is just humongous. But I don't think there's many bad actors in the show, if not at all. I have to think about it, but I don't think there's like a bad performance in this series. It's just a wonderfully casted show, and everybody shows up to play their part beautifully. The Sopranos is also one of the first shows that was kind of like a long story format. Then you had to see the previous week to understand the following week. Before that, there were shows like Smash, The X-Files that were mostly like week to week, and you didn't really have to watch the entire series to understand what was happening. But The Sopranos was the first show that you kind of had to watch the whole thing, and also it's also the first show that you followed kind of an anti-hero, a villain in a sense, because James Gandolfini's Tony Soprano is not a good person. He's actually a very bad. Well, he's not a he's a bad person, and it's a very interesting character study for the series to tackle, and I think that The Sopranos did a terrific job of it. In my opinion, this show is just marvelous from start to finish. I wanted to also to talk about my favorite season to my least favorite season, but I'll just like talk about each one separately and just give my thoughts about them and sort of like rate them one after the other. Season 1. Season 1 is a slow start, but it's still a strong introduction to the Sopranos universe. Some of the actors haven't quite settled in their respective roles yet, and Tony's accent was a bit questionable. It is also a bit slow, but it's still a very entertaining season. Tony learns that pussy wears a wire. He also discovers himself to be in love with Jennifer, his own psychiatrist. His daughter, Meadow, becomes suspicious of his night activities. Tony's mother tries to have him whacked. Like I said, season 1 I think is very serviceable. It's not my favorite season of the entire series. It's still better than the last season, which is, spoiler alert, my least favorite. But it's a bit slow. It takes a while for the series to get going, kind of like The Wire season 1. But when it does get going, when the pacing does pick up, you're locked in, and you're absolutely interested in what's coming next. And season 2 is either my favorite or my second favorite, with season 5. Season 5 I think was just absolutely wonderful, and season 2 is almost neck and neck. What makes season 2 great is the introduction of the DiMeo crime family capo villain Richie April. We meet Tony has dealt with a lot of bad people previously in season 1, but none are worse than Richie. The show was great in the previous season, but now it's become absolutely stellar, thanks to a fantastic storyline and amazing performances. And yeah, this season I think is absolutely amazing. Season 2 is non-stop. It's a non-stop thrill ride. It's based on action, characters, and just it's a great season. Those who want respect, give respect. Season 3. Season 3 has my favorite episode of the entire series and a variety of great ones. Pine Barrens revolves around Polly and Christopher getting stuck in the woods after a botch hit job. This episode is the funniest episode of the series, in my opinion, and it's just amazing seeing these two trying to survive in the cold and lonely wilderness. Also, the episode of Employee of the Month, in which Jennifer's morality comes into question when she realizes she can have a revenge on someone who abused her. Ralphie is a great bad guy to Tony. Tony views him as obnoxious, disrespectful, and disobedient. Polly is arrested and sent to prison. Season 3 is a great season as well. It moves super rapidly, and there's rarely a boring moment in the entire season. The performances, just the execution, everything is just amazing. Season 4. This season has many storylines going for it. Polly is in jail and Christopher becomes active capo. Meanwhile, Carmela becomes involved with a man called Furio. Rafi starts to date Tony's sister Janice. Tony is also constantly having to deal with Carmela, who's unhappy with their marriage, and the growing pains of his adolescence driving him crazy. This season is action-packed and can use the momentum of the previous seasons. The only thing I didn't care for was the romance between Carmela and Furio. I thought this storyline dragged on too much in this season, and it doesn't really lead to anything, in my opinion. So yeah, that's the only thing negative I would say about season 4. But other than that, I think it's a great season as well. It's just fantastic, just amazingly done all around. Season 5. Season 5 might be my favorite season of the entire series. I love the new characters. Steve Buscemi shines as a former inmate trying to get on with his life after prison. Tony must face one of his most important and toughest dilemmas. Adriana also meets her tragic end. She was an informant to the police, and Tony finds out, and Christopher actually kills her. I think it's one of the most. It was one of the saddest parts of the entire show. The finale of the season, season 5, is also, I think, extremely suspenseful. It's so well done. Everything in this series is just top notch. It really is. It's a magnificent show. The Sopranos is one of the best shows ever in television history. Now we arrive to my least favorite season of the whole bunch. I don't hate this season. I just think it's the least well done out of the entire series. Especially like the first half. I think the first half is very slow. It doesn't feel like The Sopranos very much, because it's a lot of it is just Tony in a coma. And he's dreaming, and none of it is really real. And so it just meanders a lot, and it loses some of its momentum that it had in its previous years. I wouldn't say that it went past its prime. Like I wouldn't say like, oh, you should stop at season 5. I don't think it's that bad, but it's very slow. I don't think it's all that of an exciting season, in my opinion. Phil Lotardo has become the big baddie of the season, and Tony knows that he can easily be overthrown now that he's been shot, and he's weak, and of course that gives him a new perspective on life also. But yeah, just the entire first half didn't really do it for me. I think the second half is a little better, but of course we have the controversial ending that I wanted to talk about. It's one of the most controversial endings in television. I don't know if it's one of the most hated. I certainly don't hate the ending. In my opinion, I'm sort of like mixed on it. There's some parts like I'm 50-50 because I feel like the ending is brilliant, but also I think it could have benefited the show of ending it maybe with more resolution. I think there's some pro and cons to this ending, so let's just delve a bit. So yeah, Tony is waiting at the restaurant for his family to arrive with Journey's "Don't Stop Believing" playing in the background. Meadows about to arrive. Tony looks up and the screen turns to black. Tony like got whacked because earlier in the season we also got the line in the episode Sopranos home movies when Bobby says you probably don't even hear it when it happens. He's talking about like when you die you don't even hear the gunshot noise, and like just the way it ends, it's fade to black. Tony looks up at his daughter, and you know, like in during this entire scene, that something like is wrong, and like, you know that there are some people in the restaurant that are sort of looking at Tony, and that might be after him. But like, none of this is confirmed. Just the way that David Chase decided to end the scene, to me feels like yeah, oh well, Tony got whacked. Tony's dead. Chase spoke in an interview about this ending. I thought it was a mistake to confirm it, but he actually decided to confirm that Tony's dead. I'm gonna read what he had to say. Because the scene I had in mind was not that scene, nor did I think of cutting to black. I had a scene in which Tony comes back from a meeting in New York in this car. At the beginning of every show, he came from New York into New Jersey, and the last scene could be him coming from New Jersey back into New York for a meeting at which he was going to be killed. Yeah, but I think I had this notion. I was driving on Ocean Park Boulevard near the airport, and I saw a little restaurant. It was kind of like a shack that served breakfast, and for some reason I thought Tony should get it in a place like that. Why? I don't know. That was like 2 years before. It sounds like here like he didn't. He sort of had the thought in mind of killing Tony before the series ended, but he just didn't know like the resolution of the series. He hadn't really thought it completely through how the series was going to end. Like I said, I'm sort of satisfied with how it ends. It's not my favorite episode. It's not my favorite season overall, but I think it's a bold way to end the series, if I can say so. Um, also, uh, I would have liked maybe to have seen some closure for the rest of the family, like what happens to Carmela, what happens to the kids, how do they deal with Tony's death, what do they do now, who becomes in charge of the Tony's empire. That I would have liked, but I guess that David Chase had no intention of like showing us what happened next. So like I said, I'm on two minds about the ending. I could have gotten more out of it, but I'm still okay with the one we got. I'm still fine with it. Maybe it would have been different for me if I had like watched it for several years and waited like I watched the show when after it was done, and like not too long, a couple of years ago. So I didn't have the investment of people of this like the same investment that some people had when they watched the show on TV. I think that would have made maybe a different impression on me, like on the ending. But I think I like the ending. You know, it's just I understand if people have gripes about it, or like if you don't like it. I completely understand. Chase also told the THR that it annoyed him that some fans wanted a more explicit ending, showing Tony's go face down in Linguini, you know? And I just thought, God, you just watched this guy for 7 years, and I know he's a criminal. But you don't don't tell me you love him in some way. Don't tell me you're not on his side in some way. And now you want to see him killed? You want justice done? You're a criminal after watching this shit for 7 years. That bothered me. Now I'm not too clear on what he's just upset about, because I understand like people not enjoying the ending. I totally get it, but I don't really understand what he's saying, because like if Tony's bad, then maybe we would have liked to have seen him met his tragic end. We would have liked to have closure with his family. There's no resolution, sort of, to this series, which I understand can be frustrating. So I don't really understand his comments. I guess he's just tired of hearing from people of the time that they didn't like the finale. And I get it. I get it that maybe as an artist, like, it can just become irritating, and he can be angry about it. But yeah, I don't really understand what he means by his comments about how he doesn't like it, like people coming at him. It's just weird. It's weird in my opinion. If you just have to understand that some people are just not gonna like it, then that's it. You have to move on. You can't just say, I like, just deal with it. Just don't say anything. That's what I would say to David Chase. Like, just don't say anything about the ending and leave it alone. I think that would be the best thing to do. Like the ending of Lost, for example. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna do a Lost 20th anniversary, but I like the ending to that show, but a bunch of people did not, and I don't think it's the creator's place to comment about how people felt. Like, don't tell me how to feel about the show. Just let me absorb what you're trying to show me. Let me think about what you're trying to say with your media, and then let people have conversations about it. But don't chime in. Don't tell me how to feel. I think it's just unnecessary, in my opinion, because I think it's just The Sopranos has such a terrific legacy, and he doesn't need to defend it. I don't think he needs to defend his work, because the work speaks for itself. So, also, when asked if he had episodes he could have redone, David Chase answered, "The show when they went to Italy, that really wasn't our element. We really didn't know what we were talking about, so I didn't like it as much." That's also fascinating. I don't know which episodes I would have liked them to have redone, but I maybe the ones in the coma. I think I would have just changed the storyline completely. Have him like in an episode in the hospital for like an episode, and then we move on with the season. I think that would have been my pick. And lastly, he responds to a question about bringing the show back. Eddie Falco jokes about wanting to bring the show back with Carmilla as the boss of the family. Has anyone ever seriously tried to get you to resurrect it in some form? No. People approached me about doing more mob stuff, but not The Sopranos. Really? I would have guessed Netflix would have backed up the Brinks truck and said, how much will it take? Nope, never happened. What would it take? To bring it back? I wouldn't do it. At the end, we were done. I was done. I think that's really good for showrunner or artist to say, yep, we're done. There's no more story to tell. I think that's brave, and I think more artists should do that, especially showrunners should end the show when it's time and not continue on. This is from an interview from the New York Times, and I really encourage you to check out this interview. I think was really good and insightful. So I think that Sopranos is one of the best TV series of all time. It's a show that takes its time building its story and characters. It's wonderfully written. It's superbly directed. It's an incredible piece of television, and it will stand the test of time for years to come. So let me know what you think about The Sopranos down in the comments below. Will you rewatch the show for its 25th anniversary? Is it one of your best shows of all time? It certainly is one of mine. So let me know down in the comments below. See you next time. Bye.
I'd like to propose a toast to my family. Someday soon, you're gonna have families of your own. And if you're lucky, you remember the little moments that were good.
What are you so afraid's going to happen?
I don't know.